we need to move on to Seattle versus Dallas. Another good matchup here with Seattle in second place, 53 points, 7 wins at home, 7 wins away, versus a Dallas team that has 46 points in seventh place and has 7 wins at home, 4 wins away. I am once again going with the underdog here. I'm taking Dallas in the 7th spot to move on over Seattle. And here's why. It was just announced that Seattle has I'm sorry, not Seattle. Nico Ladero specifically has played his final game with Seattle in the regular season. That he will be done after this year. We mentioned it at the start that this is kind of their last chance to go on a big run with the team that they have before the Stephen Fry, the Nico Ladero, the João Paulos, those guys start to move on and phase their way out of this team. And I think it ends prematurely. It was very similar to when we were doing our predictions for the World Cup that I said there was going to be one team that everybody had the lights on, and at the end of the first round, at the end of the group stage, the headline's going to read so and so falls short in final run, and that was Uruguay. And I said Uruguay was going to fall short. They had all the pieces. They wouldn't get out of the group. They did. Here, and they didn't. Excuse me. Here, I think is the same thing. I think it's always going to be Ladero on his last run, Ladero on his last run, Ladero on his last run. And I think they trip up, and I think they lose in a best of three here. They're both relatively okay, home and away. So I think it's a very closer matchup than you think. I think a lot of stuff in the West is closer than you're gonna think. And I think that having, one of the big things for me was Dallas had a lot of the losses in their loss column when they were missing Arriola to injury, when they were missing Ferreira to international duty. Those types of games hurt them and drop them down the standings. Here, I think with a full complement of players, I think Dallas can take it to them. So I'm going Dallas over Seattle, 7-2.
I think you're picking too many upsets here.
You can never pick too many upsets, friend.
You can pick too many upsets. So yeah, you kind of talked about, their records already, but Seattle, not the strongest home team, not awful either. Only 4 losses at home. Seem to find ways to not lose at home, and they're a strong away team. I think they're good defensively. They know how to find a goal when they need to. The concern for me with Dallas is that they just tie a lot of games. They had 13 draws this season, which is second most in the league. And once you get to the playoffs, ties just don't mean anything anymore. It's a situation just to get you into extra time. And considering a best of 3 series where there is no extra time, you're going right to penalties. And in that case, I'm backing Stephen Fry. The guy knows how to get it done in those big moments in the playoffs. He's done it time and time again for this team. And I know that he's a bit older than when he was originally making those saves, but I think he's still got it in him to make the necessary saves in the clutch moments to move Seattle on. So I think Seattle locks it down at home, plays good defense, finds the goal that they need. And then I think their strong away record helps them go to Dallas and win game 2 as well. So I think Seattle goes through winning the first 2 games. Just because I really do think it will be tight between them, even if Seattle does win 2-0 in the series. I just think that Seattle's a bit more adept in the clutch moments in the playoffs than Dallas would be.
You mentioned that ties don't matter in the playoffs, and I disagree with you there, especially in this home thing. If you can go away from home, get a draw, find a way to get yourself to penalties, anything can happen. Which is why I'm liking Dallas here, because I think that if they find a way to do it, Fry can only come up massive so many times. They can sneak at least one away. If they have to go away 2 games out of the 3, assuming that they win their home game, of course.
Which
and
is
they
a big
need
assumption.
Which is, yeah, absolutely. But if they can, or even if when they're at home, they need to find a way to get themselves a draw late in the game, they can I believe that they can pull it. Truthfully, I do. So to me, having draws is a good thing. Same thing with Dallas too. No, Vancouver as well. Vancouver find ways to get draws, and I think that's a massive part of this home away home series. When you move into the semifinals and the finals, that comes. I think your point becomes valid. But when you're in a best of three series, being able to get yourself an extra chance in a penalty shootout that anything could happen is a massive trait. So that's where I'm going with it.
Well, I would agree with you if the opponent's goalkeeper wasn't someone who's been able to be successful many, many times with big saves in the playoffs. We will have to wait and see, though.
Listen, like I said, guys, Connor's going to do some boring loser stuff, and I'm going to tell you what's really right. So when you're making your brackets for our challenge, you know what to do.
The opposite.
Shall we move
of
over?
Andrew's telling you that's what you should do.
Shall we move over?
Yeah.
Or do you
let's
want
go
to
the
finish the
East.
West completely?
No. Let's go to the East now.